Hey everybody, so I'm calling you from, out here in balmy California. I turned the camera on, but I don't want to make you jealous of the beautiful view I have of a parking lot. So I'm going to go over the Village Blacksmith for you today and then kind of go over how to do the unit review for Unit 4. And so the Village Blacksmith is by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and you're reading the poem, the text in your textbook, pages 86 and 87. There we go. So right here, looking at these questions, what values are shown in these stanzas, and then what is the archetype created with this character. So remember that an archetype is an original or like a perfect example of something. So think about that as you're reading through the Village Blacksmith. And so what values are shown as well. Think about, this is something we've talked about with every unit. What are the values that are important to the Americans at this time period in American history? And so with those two in mind, we're going to look at these two stanzas here. So the village smithy stands, the smith a mighty man is he, with large and sinewy hands, the muscles of his brawny arms are strong as iron bands. And so what a value are you noticing the stanza spotlight? So you're going to think about, what's a value that they're noticing? It's, he's hardworking. He's very strong. Those are the things that they're kind of saying here. He's large and sinewy hands. He's got big hands that are, muscly from how hard he works, right? He's muscly on his arms. He's strong as iron. It's talking about how much he works so hard that he's very, very strong and good at what he does. And then looking at this one, his hair is crisp and black and long. His face is like the tan. His brow is wet with honest sweat. He earns whatever he can and looks the whole world in the face. So what are they looking at here? He's honest. He's hardworking. Those are things that have been something that has been throughout all of our writing in American history so far, all the way back to the Puritans. They valued that hard work. And so it's talking about how he has honest sweat. He earns whatever he can, right? So he's a good person and he looks the world in the face. He's honest. He's hardworking. Rereading the 5th stanza, he goes on Sunday to the church and sits among his boys. He hears the parson pray and preach. He hears his daughter's voice singing in the village choir, and it makes his heart rejoice. Now, just like all the way back to Puritan times, he's looking at Sunday church. So he's pious. He's going to church. He believes in God. He's a good, hardworking person. What kind of archetype is being created? He's a perfect all-American man, right? That's what they're writing about here. He's the perfect guy in the values that the Americans held on to at that time period. And so these are some of the questions here. And if we were doing this in class, we would go through and find quotes. And so I'm going to unhide some of the ones that we have here. And so, what makes him worthy of the reader's attention? What gives him this mythological or heroic status? And then how does he embody the key American values? So he embodies a lot, like I just mentioned, industry. He's hardworking. Piety. He goes to church. He embodies some new values that are starting to be displayed as America matures, which is strength and sensitivity. If you read through the poem, he'll mention, he hears his daughter's voice in the choir, and then it mentions that he thinks about his wife who had passed away, and she looks just like him, and just like her mom, and it makes him cry. Right, so he's sensitive. He's strong and sensitive, which are new things that are coming forth in this new America as being something that is a core value. By infusing the character of the blacksmith with these distinct values, it's creating this new American archetype. And so here it is, like talking about how he sees his deceased wife and he thinks of her and he brushes a tear out of his eyes. So he's kind and loving while still being strong and hardworking. That makes him even more endearing to the readers. Emotional tenderness, strong contrast to physical strength, which they talk about in the first stanzas when I was reading the first couple of stanzas. He was very muscly and strong, but yet he's sensitive as well. And so those are what at that time were considered desirable qualities in an American. And so that's how he embodies those new and old key American values as Americans begin to develop and create their own unique persona. Okay, so I'm going to talk about quickly the test review. So for the test review, we're trying something a little different here. It's a class kick. A lot of classes are using it this year, and I know that, so we thought we would give it a try as well. And so during class, you're able to click on the link here. You'll put your name in, and then you'll go to the test review questions. There's only like 10. If you have questions about what the answers are, if you're like, I don't understand why that's the answer, obviously you can do it during class. So when you get to the question, if you have it, if you're unsure of it, you can ask us to explain it to you a little bit further. And so that's the test review is on there, and it's 10 questions for you to go through. So in class on Wednesday, when you come and log in, there'll be 3 breakout rooms. There'll be the usual, right? There'll be a workroom to do the checklist, the class kick to do the Unit 4 review, and then the video room. If you don't watch this before class, you'll have the opportunity to watch this during class, and it'll only be like a 8-minute video. So if you have questions about how to work class kick, if you have questions about the village blacksmith and how the American persona of values has become developed from the just hardworking, courageous, and pious people. Now they're adding sensitivity in. If you have any questions regarding how the American values are developing over time, make sure you reach out to us during class or send us an email. With that, I will let you go, and I will see you tomorrow.